If the camera hadn't been recording, no one would believe what happened next. A father demanded the family dog be removed immediately. A mother fought back with one final test. They set up a camera for just 10 minutes, and what it captured changed everything. The child was laughing. The dog was watching. And when the vacuum rolled toward her, the reality finally became clear. Before you watch, remember to like and subscribe so you don't miss another touching story like this one, and write in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is there. The morning began with shouting again. "I'm done fighting, Sarah." David slammed his hand on the kitchen table, making the spoon jump and clatter. "That dog is leaving this house. I've already called the shelter. They're sending someone to pick him up today. I don't care what you think. He's a danger." Sarah held her daughter closer, who was sitting in her lap, wearing her pink sweatshirt with tiny flowers printed on the sleeves. The child's eyes grew wide, frightened by the angry voices. Sarah's chest rose and fell as she struggled to keep her voice steady. "You're not sending him anywhere. He hasn't harmed anyone, David. Not ever." "Hasn't harmed anyone?" David yelled back, his face getting red. He pointed at the golden retriever resting on the living room floor. "Look at him sitting there like a hunter, watching her every time she breathes. One snap, one mistake, and she's dead. Do you want to risk that?" "I sure don't." Sarah shook her head, her jaw clenching. "You're mistaken about this. He's not trying to hurt her. He's watching over her. He knows she's small. He knows she needs him." David laughed coldly, sounding bitter. "He's only a dog, Sarah. Only a dog. He doesn't know anything. You're lying to yourself. And if you think I'm going to stand by while you endanger our daughter because of your feelings about some mutt, you're insane." The dog lifted his head when David's voice grew louder, his eyes focused. He didn't approach them. He didn't even shift, but he continued watching the child. Sarah felt her throat tighten. Her instinct was telling her something. And even though she couldn't put it into words, she knew David was wrong. "If you're so sure, then prove it," she shot back quickly, her voice sharp. David's eyes went wide. "What are you saying?" "Prove it," she repeated, standing up and holding her child tight. "Leave them alone together." 10 minutes, just the dog and her in the living room with the camera on. "If he's as dangerous as you say, you'll have evidence. And if you're wrong, then you admit it. No more talk about the shelter." David's mouth curled into a cruel smile. "Fine, 10 minutes, and when that animal proves I'm right, you'll regret defending him." Sarah swallowed hard. Fear twisted in her stomach, but she forced herself to look confident. "You'll be the one with regrets," she answered firmly. A few minutes later, the child was sitting on the floor in the middle of the living room, the blinking red light of the small camera recording from the shelf. The retriever was lying several feet away, golden fur spread across the carpet, his chest rising and falling in a calm rhythm. His eyes, sharp and steady, remained on the baby. David was standing near the door, his arms folded tightly across his chest. "This is insane," he said softly. "You're risking her life." "Be silent," Sarah said sharply, her voice trembling. "If you're so certain, then we'll see. Stop talking." He made an annoyed sound, then slammed the door behind both of them. They walked into the kitchen, the phone resting between them on the counter, displaying the live feed from the camera. On the screen, their daughter was making cheerful baby noises, her tiny hands slapping the carpet as she rocked forward and back. The retriever sat up slowly, his ears standing tall. David's face showed disgust. "There, see him watching like that? He's getting ready to strike." Sarah leaned closer to the phone, her palms sweating. "He's watching, not getting ready to strike. It's completely different." The child giggled, stretching out to him. The retriever shifted a bit nearer, his paws heavy on the floor. His nose moved close to her clothing. Sarah stopped breathing. David whispered, "It's starting, I told you." But then the retriever did something they weren't expecting. He shifted to the side, placing his body between the child and the corner of the coffee table. His chest pressed to the floor, his form making a barrier. "What's he doing now?" David asked, his eyebrows drawing together. Sarah's hand flew to her mouth. "He's guarding her." David shook his head firmly. "That's ridiculous. Dogs don't guard like that. He's—" And then on the video, something occurred. The retriever's ears pulled back. His eyes darted quickly to the left side of the room. He went rigid, his muscles tightened, his body rising slightly from the floor, his gaze locked on something moving across the carpet. The child made a squealing sound again, unaware of anything, clapping her hands, but the retriever's head tracked the source of the movement carefully. From the corner of the video screen, the robot vacuum cleaner rolled slowly into view, its round plastic body humming as it moved across the rug. David leaned in, looking puzzled. "It's just the vacuum. What's wrong?" Sarah's stomach turned. She recalled all the times the retriever had yelped and backed away when the vacuum had grabbed his fur. Twice she'd discovered him trapped against it, growling angrily, struggling to break free, while the spinning brush caught his hair. He was terrified of the machine. He knew it was dangerous. And now, on the camera feed, the vacuum was rolling straight toward the child. The retriever's body went completely stiff. His chest expanded with a low rumble. His eyes narrowed, his ears flattened. He rose onto his feet, moving toward her, his body dropping low in a defensive position. David's mouth dropped open, but he stayed silent. Sarah gripped, the counter's edge, her knuckles going white, her heart pounding hard. The red light of the camera continued flashing, and just as the robot vacuum came nearer, the retriever stepped directly in front of the child, shielding her. The noise of the vacuum grew louder on the camera feed, its spinning brushes whirring as it traveled straight toward the child. She clasped her tiny hands together, thinking it was another plaything, making delighted noises as the plastic form approached on the floor. But the golden retriever didn't treat it like a plaything. His fur rose, his ears pressed flat against his head, and with a deliberate action, he placed himself directly between the child and the oncoming machine. His body lowered, muscles tense, his chest fully blocking her from the rolling threat. "See him," Sarah said softly, her voice shaking. "He's protecting her." David's jaw clenched as he stepped closer to the screen. "It's just a vacuum, Sarah. He's not." Before he could continue, the retriever lunged forward with a sharp bark that burst through the monitor's speaker so suddenly it made both parents flinch. The dog lowered his nose and shoved the machine forcefully with his muzzle. The vacuum jerked sideways abruptly, its sensors disrupted, its wheels spinning as it redirected to travel the opposite way. The child made another squealing noise, bouncing up and down on her chubby legs, delighted by the commotion. She patted her small hands on the retriever's back, giggling. The dog didn't glance at her. He remained motionless, watching the vacuum rotate and roll away on a new course, his chest heaving with heavy breaths until it finally disappeared from the camera's field of view. The retriever then lowered himself onto the floor, circling until his body curved along the child's side, his back forming a wall between her and where the machine had been. He rested his head flat on the carpet, his eyes still monitoring the opposite side of the room, prepared if the cleaner returned. Sarah's throat constricted as she gripped the counter, tears filling her eyes. "Do you see now, David?" Her voice cracked, breaking through the silence. "Do you finally see what he's been doing?" David said nothing right away. His face had gone pale, his lips pressed together firmly, his eyes fixed on the video. They both knew the retriever had a reason to fear the machine. It had already caught his fur more than once, making him cry out in pain until someone shut it off. And now, with their child alone, he didn't hesitate. He'd faced what had hurt him before, not for himself, but for her. On the video, the child stretched out, her little hand grabbing at his fur. He turned his head gently to her, his eyes softening, and released a quiet sigh as if reassuring her she was safe. She giggled, pressing her face against his back as if he were the softest pillow in the world. Sarah's tears streamed down freely. "He knew," she said softly. "The whole time he knew that thing could harm her. He's been protecting her from it. That's why he stayed so near to her." David dragged his hand across his face, his shoulders rigid. He couldn't find words. For weeks, he had labeled the dog a danger, a tragedy waiting to happen. He had already contacted the shelter, prepared to surrender him. And now, watching the video, he saw what was true. Without the retriever, their daughter would have had nobody. When the alarm on the phone finally sounded, Sarah rushed to the living room, David following stiffly behind her. She fell to her knees, scooping up the child in her arms. The retriever rose, his tail wagging gently, his eyes fixed on her face. Sarah stroked his fur with her free hand, her voice cracking. "Good boy, you kept her safe." David stood in the doorway, his pride shattered, his anger vanished. The retriever stepped closer, sniffing the child's hair as she made cheerful sounds, secure in her mother's embrace. David's voice finally broke the silence, quiet and unsteady. "I was wrong." Sarah looked up, her eyes red, but she didn't gloat. "You almost removed the only thing keeping her safe." David exhaled shakily, overwhelmed with shame. He crouched down slowly, resting his hand on the retriever's head. "You're staying here," David said quietly, "forever." The child clapped her hands as if supporting the decision herself. The retriever curled up outside the nursery door, his eyes half closed, his ears still raised. He wasn't resting because he was tired. He was resting because his job was done. And from that day forward, nobody in that house ever doubted who the real protector was. Did you enjoy this story? Would you have trusted the dog, yes or no? Let us know in the comments below. If you like the story, subscribe to this channel and leave a like. Thanks so much for listening. See you in the next video. Have a great day.